It's a warm welcome to a very bright and sunny Nottingham Hockey Centre. It's Beeston versus Surbiton. It's the final home league game of the season for Beeston, and it's a tough challenge today against the team that will definitely finish top of the pile. Sitting aside me, Steve Musson. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, good afternoon, Andy. Yep, looking forward to this one.
I know it's we've got good weather for it. We've got some good players to look out for as well. We'll go through the team list in a few moments' time, but to set the scene somewhat, this is the way that the league looks this morning before we all got out of bed, with all the games coming along in the next half an hour or so. Surbiton, as you can see, on the top with 44 points, still undefeated. They had a run at the start of the season, which was, let me just check, that was, I think, 11 wins on the bounce. Sorry, it's even better than that, 12 wins on the bounce. First draw was against Hampstead and Westminster, so Surbiton on a bit of a dip in form, as things go, but back on it in a big way because it won 7-0 last week against Brooklands. So Surbiton in good nick.
Certainly are, and 5-0 the week before that, so they've formidable setup really, good goal scorers, good midfield players who can feed the forwards, and that tally of 85 goals is very impressive.
Goal difference of 64. Amazing stuff. Beeston in 6th place today, so definitely not going to gate crash the top 4. Also won't be finishing up in the bottom 2 positions in the league. A quick run through the other games today. Exeter University, Old Georgians, Reading, Brooklands, Manchester University. All eyes on that one for a relegation perspective. Let's see how that one plays out. Big game at the bottom. One team could guarantee their safety today. East Grinstead, Hampstead and Westminster is 2, as well as Beeston Surbiton here slightly later on. Wimbledon versus Holcombe. That's the way today is looking. It's also cup action for the women who are across the way. But we'll keep you up to speed as best as we possibly can with that one. We've only got the one camera set up, so we can't do 2 games at once, but we'll keep you up to speed with the women in action against local rivals, University of Nottingham. It's an away game, which you can probably see from our vantage point here in the chapel. That is the way things look. Actually, mentioning the women before we get underway, let's have a look at what happened yesterday at 4 o'clock when the women took on East Grinstead in Investec Women's Premier Division action. Here are those highlights. The floor and intercepted, and Beeston have it back. Play is going to ground here. Play continuing. Chance at goal, and that's a swing with no connection to the ball. That could have been the first goal. Very, very close. Which team is more likely to get that opportunity? Well, East Grinstead are pressing for that chance now. Player brought down. Chance towards goal. Penalty corner indicates the umpire. BHC on Twitter. It could be an East Grinstead player, it could be a Beeston player. We'll let you know who picks up the title, but do send in your suggestions. Beeston in towards the circle here, across the face of goal, and that's turned high and away from goal. That must have come off good shielding of the ball, and that's a decent ball forward. That's been picked up. Here's a real chance on goal. Played into the goal for the first of the game. And it's East Grinstead that have the lead. Beeston have done very well to get it over to halfway, and this is good, winning the ball back as well. Who's in there to help? Chance towards goal, and that's blocked by the goalkeeper. It's still live. Long corner. Really good win. 20 minutes to go. Beeston holding things up here, trying to bring supporting players into the action. Making their way into the circle, that's a penalty corner awarded. There's the trap, shot towards goal, it's loose and in the air. Paige Gullett brings it down. Penalty corner not over, that's played off the player. And for an attempt at the penalty corner, and the penalty corner has been given. Here's a shooting chance, low, and into the goal for a second for East Grinstead. Well, the sun is shining, the players' shadows are on the field of play, the wind is still swirling, and Beeston are about to face a storm of their own in the shape of Surbiton.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look at the match day 16s, and I say 16s because you can see that there are a couple of gaps there on the Surbiton playing list. They've only opted to bring 14.
Travelling lights, yes, that's right, 14.
Room for, I'm guessing, Colin Pike in the van today. So you can see the players with the X's by them. Those are going to be starting. So Beeston starting with Simon Hudgwan in goal, Ollie Willars, Kyle Marshall, Robbie Gleeson, Joe Sharp, Nick Park. Captain is Adam Dixon, Richard Lawrence, Chris Proctor, Elliot Bark and Morgan Males for Surbiton. Great Britain goalkeeper Harry Gibson, Luke Taylor, penalty corner expert,
Very much
Rob
so.
Farrington, Ben Boone, Johnny Gould is the captain, Jonty Griffiths, Zach Wallace, Alan Forsyth, David Goodfield, James Gall and Connor Williamson are all starting. So we know all about Alan Forsyth, we know all about the threat of Luke Taylor, but there's so much more than just those names.
Well, definitely, I think that the goal scoring front three prolific, but you don't get there unless you've got players that are capable of feeding them. And their midfield group, people like Channa and Salisbury in the middle and Gall, they're great players who can actually find Alan Forsyth, and that's assisted him with his field goals. And of course they win corners, they're very quick on attack and counter-attack, and it's led to a lot of short corners, and then of course that loosens Luke Taylor up.
At the risk of focusing on the opponents a bit too much, I still think it's worth looking at because they are an exceptional team and having an exceptional season.
Yeah.
Looking at some of their stats, they've scored early and late goals. They're a threat throughout the whole 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for the facts. So they've scored in the first minute twice, and they've also scored in the final minute 4 times.
Yes,
So it's a relentless from Surbiton.
That's right, and I'm hoping some of Beeston's goals in the last 2 matches where they've scored in the 70th minute might have come into play today, so could we wish for that to be a 3rd time on the trot?
Indeed. What we will see is definitely goals today.
Yeah,
we'll
I think
certainly
so.
see goals, and hopefully a few of them will be Beeston goals as well.
Yeah, the stat from Beeston's point of view that's quite interesting. 3rd best goals against stat in the league, and that's credit to Simon Hudgwan and the way the back four have performed. So they'll be wanting that to be right today to make sure that the Surbiton front three are slowed down as much as possible.
Indeed, Samapula, who scored a brace last time out here against Wimbledon, retains his place as well, which is nice to see.
Quite right, yes.
Having a very rich run of form, scored a hat-trick in the Cup as well.
He
so
did.
That's 5 goals in 4 games. That's a pretty good going.
Well, it's useful to get somebody like Sam back in the side. He's not played all that often, but he's busy, he's very athletic, and we saw one of his goals last week. His reverse stick shot, I thought, was an excellent finish and difficult to execute. So hopefully some more of that today.
Okay, so the teams are getting their final preparations off and underway. A quick look at the Alan Forsyth is stretching there on the side of the field, which is very interesting.
Yes, yeah.
That's taking match preparations down to the final degree. So the teams are almost ready for the walkout. You can see Beeston in the dark shirts. Final league home game of the season. You can see in the technical box here come the teams. Welcome
to Nottingham Hockey Centre. A warm welcome to visitors Surbiton, and let's hear it for the hosts. Your Beeston Hockey Club. Today's match umpires Lee Barron and Dan Reed. Representing Beeston, number 1, sponsored by Wakefield Trade Windows Limited, Simon Hudgwan. Number 4, sponsored by Air IT, Ollie Willars. Number 5, sponsored by BestPartiesEver.com, Kyle Marshall. Number 6, sponsored by Trent College, Robbie Gleeson. 8, sponsored by Repton School, Joe Sharp. 10, sponsored by Beehive Hockey Shop, Nick Park. 12, Alex Bolting. 14, sponsored by Raleigh Wealth Management, Captain Adam Dixon. 15, sponsored by Grenade, James Holtland. 17, sponsored by Lawrence Trucks and Machinery, Richard Lawrence. 18, Toby Stanley. 19, Lucas Ward. 21, Office Innovation sponsors Chris Proctor. 22, Sam Abula. 26, Elliot Barton. And 37, Morgan Mayo. Representing Surbiton, Harry Gibson, Luke Taylor, Rob Barrington, Tom Salisbury, Ben Boone, Johnny Gray, Adam Drayton Charmer, Jonty Griffiths, Zach Wallace, Alan Forsyth, David Whitfield, Tim Blue, James Gould, and Connor Williamson. Those are your teams. Come on, you bees!
And so the teams are welcomed, and we should be off and underway in a few moments' time. I noticed that Beeston are attacking the car park in the first half.
Bit of kidology going on there. Somebody probably from the Surbiton side has decided to stop Beeston attacking the usual end straight away, so that's an interesting tweak straight away from the beginning of the game.
Jonas Holtman's number 15 running away back to the clubhouse there. I wonder what that's about. He might have forgotten his stick. Yeah. Also, there's some interesting headgear going on. We can just see making their way onto the field of view. Who is that player and why are they wearing
That's Nick
the hat?
Park, following his recent head injury. He's putting that on just for a bit of extra protection. There's a bit of worry about how he'd hurt himself, and I'm glad to see him back actually today because he'd become an important part of Beeston's build-up.
There's also a little bit of action going on off the side of the field. It's Toby Stanley, number 18, having a little bit of extra attention before the start of the game. Game is off and running. So we've seen some very strange bits of warm-up before the game's got underway.
Yeah, that's right, yes. We'll focus on the game and see whether those guys can get back into action. Toby seems to have hurt his calf, I think, so the physio will sort that out.
From a technical point of view, he's named in the match day 16. It's too late to swap him out.
Yeah, that's right.
So hopefully all is well. Morgan Males bursts forward with the ball. Bit of stick-to-stick play on, but Surbiton happy to stand back. We should be getting underway with a free hit, and Beeston not wasting any time, and they are pinging it about.
Well, I think they'll want to do that because obviously with taking a bit of confidence out of their game against Wimbledon last week, I think they know that if they can play quickly, they can match teams. I know that Surbiton's a tall order, but they'll nevertheless have a go at them.
Yes, they really seem to be very quick into the attack, but Surbiton equal to it at the moment. Also, they survived the first minute. As I mentioned, Surbiton have scored 2 goals in the first minute, so that's one of the 70 out of the way.
Well, you can do that through possession in the early phase and making sure you keep your shape, and Beeston have done that quite nicely. Loads of energy in the game at the moment, so they'll just take their time to try and win this ball back off Surbiton. We've talked a bit, Andy, about styles of teams, and Surbiton's style particularly a combination of rapid build-up play and counter-attack.
Indeed, and that attack is working neatly through the middle. Proctor, that's surely a foot there in the circle, and umpire Lee Barron is right on it, and that's the first penalty corner of the game.
It shows the benefit of starting intensely, and with an intention to get forwards. Beeston have done it 2 attacks already that have got them into the opposition's 25. This one's taken to the D, and easy thing sometimes, just put it on a foot, settle, see if you can get that.
Indeed, it was a deflection, and the unfortunate player was Jonty Griffiths, and it will be first penalty corner. So options on the edge of the circle. Adam Dixon, 7 penalty corner conversions of the season. There he is, number 14 in your picture now. But also, Lawrence could be an option.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's customary when you get your first short corner to try a flick off the top. Whether they'll work any moves at this stage, I don't know. I suspect it'll go straight to Adam.
Everyone is set. Dixon goes with it, and it's just wide.
Over the top, I think,
it looked, it flashed wide, and I was looking on the reaction for everything else. I thought for a moment that it struck the back of the net, but it was
being deflected for the long corner.
Yep. So I'm going to take that. That was a shot on goal, and it was on target until it was deflected away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So number 1 runner doing his job quite well. I think that was where the deflection came from. So we've talked about how important that number 1 runner can be, and he's influenced that.
So this is where we need the close-up camera. The close-up camera on the replay would have been chef's kiss.
Yes.
But there we go. That's for the next season. Morgan Wales with the ball. Ball pops up underneath it. Here's a Surbiton player. We will come back though.
Yeah, I like the way that Beeston have obviously had a good talk about what's going to happen if they give the ball away easily. We talked about that last week against Wimbledon, too many easy turnovers. You cannot afford to do that against Surbiton, and this is a good start. A lot of possession for Beeston at the opening 5 minutes.
Certainly they are full of energy, and we have seen occasions this season where they've not had that zip about them in the first few moments, but they're very much on message, and they're all playing very intently in the first couple of minutes.
And they know the quality of the team they're playing against, and you can't do anything else really.
Surbiton breaking forward for the first time. Ball out of defence, and Lawrence taking his time, does find a pass, and that is the right thing to do. Rather than rush it, he waited for the right opportunity to appear.
He did, yeah. He was good on the ball. Again, that's part of the instruction that has been given.
Flashing into the circle, and that is just wide of the post. The player holding his arms open there. He was waiting for that pass, but the shot was there.
Yes, that's right, it was, and that's the dangerous moments. That opportunities come for Surbiton from almost nothing and very quickly, and they had a lot of chance to score that.
Indeed, I think that was a shot from Alan Forsyth.
Lethal from short distances.
Indeed, he seems to have, as we were watching it, so much time to compose himself.
Well, defenders, the back four for Beeston, are going to have to be close to him and sharp, keep an eye on his movement, because he can get shots off with hardly any backswing at all. Into the circle they go again, and that's another penalty corner. So 2 from 2 attacks. Yeah, that's again a good little move, because down the left-hand side and into the D, along the baseline, and just finding a foot, sometimes the best option, get yourself another corner. From the far side of the field we're hearing it's definitely a foot, but we'll make sure. And I think that was it, just couldn't get his feet out of the way, and that was with the nature of the appeal. And it's John T. Griffiths again. Again, yeah. Maybe he's not had a very good warm-up. Got to be sharp at the start of a game. It's you literally do find your feet in that first 5 or 6 minutes of a game, and you've got to be smart to everything, because particularly if a side's decided to get into the D, you've got to be ready to make your low tackles. Indeed. So it went to Dixon last time. Mix it up or go with more of the same? I just have a sneaky suspicion they might vary this. And it is. And that's low and deflected up, and it's still in play. Long corner, I think. We've got the ball thrown towards the line, but it seems to have lost a bit of impetus by being a bit keen. The deflection, they did switch it, went to Richard Lawrence. And again, this been a little bit familiar in this first 6 minutes of build-up play for Beeston. It's important that they keep creating things from the attack. This is neat in the circle again. Can they be robbed? Turned goalwards, long corner again. This is excellent. Yeah, got off to a good start, and they've got to be careful that they inevitably these sorts of build-up play phases they can run out, and you've got to be ready for that to get into your defensive mode, because Surbiton already had one attack. All comes from this kind of possession, making sure that you retain the ball when it's passed to you. Indeed. And there's a great example of how not to do it. Flick forward really quickly, running with it, Ben Boone. Finds a teammate, and Beeston mop up at the back. This is a very good standard game. Yeah, sharp cover from Beeston's defence there. Needed to do that. Great inside pass from Chris Proctor. Look at this opening up. Proctor again in towards the circle. Can he keep it in play? He can. Just got away from him a bit. Just a bit too far ahead of him. Would you feel Surbiton were expecting this today? I don't know is the answer, because having watched Beeston all season, we don't know what we're going to get from them sometimes, and we keep saying it, if they get off to good starts, Beeston can be as effective against anybody, and this has been a good start. The discipline is crucial now, that they, certainly in defensive shape, that they slow Surbiton down. First goal is important, and it is Surbiton who are currently in the circle. Umpire right on it, and I'm sure that's a foot, and yes it is. Robbie Gleeson's foot, yeah. Indeed it is Robbie Gleeson, and I don't think there's much you could do about it. It's standing foot. No, I think when you know when things get tight like that, and a player has found himself along the baseline, you've got to protect your feet, and Robbie couldn't get down low enough to do that. You'll see that here. Look, his stick's still in the air, and it's quite easy for the forward to find a foot there.
Indeed, he was mid-movement as well, so that's good forward play, because there was no way he could breach a teammate, and that would turn into a shot on goal. They have got a penalty corner. I wonder if we've got penalty corner count going, because that's I think we might see a few today.
Yes, yeah.
All eyes on number 3, Luke Taylor, on the extreme left of your screen. He's scored a phenomenal number of penalty corners, 22 this season.
Yeah, I think it's always a worry when you've got somebody who's scoring as frequently as Luke Taylor's been doing. So this will be a nervous moment for Beeston, having had a good start. They're going to need to defend this to keep that confidence level high.
Indeed, Johnny Gould, number 7, and then further around Zach Wallace as well. So there's a lot of quality around the edge. And that is the first goal of the game, and no surprise to see Luke Taylor with the efforts.
Yeah, well, that's just a little bit like we thought, really. You know, you give away that corner when there's such a dangerous short corner taker as him, and it's just the power, low, quick off the stick, and it's just found its way along the floor past the keeper.
Indeed. It was hit very, very hard indeed.
Yeah, I think for all Simon Hudwan's rapid movement of late and some good saves he's made, that was difficult because of the pace.
Although straight up the other end, this is a first quarter I don't think wants to stop.
No.
This is excellent. So Surbiton have the lead. Luke Taylor with the goal in the 9th minute.
It's a shame in a way that that corner's been given away, because they could have done with going on a little bit longer into the game, maybe getting an opening goal for Beeston themselves. Surbiton gradually upping the pace. You can see that I don't think they started particularly well by their own standards, but now there's a lot of tempo, particularly in the way in which they're counter-attacking.
Indeed, there's a fluidity as well. You can be quick and not be interconnected. Here we go again in the circle. Turn towards the goal, Hudwan on it, and the ball is loose. I thought there was a moment there, it was trapped underneath him, but he did well, Simon Hudwan, in the Beeston goal to get the ball away.
He did. Similar move. They didn't find a foot that time, but they nearly found a connecting slip pass.
It's live in a circle again, turn behind, long corner.
Yeah, this pace and intensity from Surbiton now is forcing the Beeston defence to think a bit quicker. Get lower, make sure that they are covering the passes inside the D.
Well, bounces again all the way through. Must have come off a Beeston stick though. We'll go from the line. That's where we'll be going from. There we go. Underway. Touch for James Gall here.
Yeah, I think it's the relative simplicity of Surbiton's build-up play, really. They find players well, and they retain possession, I was going to say there, but they're still on it here. And they're very quick on the restart, so you've got to be sharp yourself to cater for all of that.
Terrific interception, and that has been mopped up, and Beeston are a couple of players down here. Can Surbiton play the ball out and find a way through? It's come off a Surbiton stick in front of their bench, and it'll be a Beeston ball. Adam Dixon, first time I can recall having the ball in open play.
Yeah, he's not featured yet. He's taking a break as well, but I'm sure he'll be part of this game as it goes on. Interesting fixture in a way, Andy, because you know, Beeston's safe now from a relegation or a playoff spot. Surbiton have won the league, but of course Surbiton 9th of April playing against Bloomendal in the AHL, so they'll be wanting to make sure that they get themselves right up to speed.
Here's a chance, Chris Proctor. He shields it and shakes a shot at goal, and it's wide, and it did come directly off his stick, so it'll be a Surbiton defensive hit out. But Proctor really impressive there on the turn.
Yeah, he's. I think he's somebody who might feature for Beeston today. He's been dangerous all season, scored some good goals himself. He's been good in possession on the ball, so if Beeston want to find their way back in, it could be through him.
Taken down in defence, taking care to make sure that the ball's not stolen. With it is Ollie Willars, and finds a teammate. Ball going through a congested area and coming back off a Surbiton stick, but that's going to be watched out of play for a defensive hit out for Beeston.
So how little hesitation there was there, Andy, from the minute that ball had been won by Surbiton, just bobbled into the D, knowing that Alan Forsyth would be in there. When you've got players like him around, you can afford to do that, because they're always looking for the right space.
And as if by magic, he was on the ball there. the effortless style on the ball as well. He just seems to, the ball is your friend. I know a lot of young players are told, and that's very true for him.
Yeah, he's got a good hand-eye coordination. It doesn't take him long from the moment that he's got the ball to getting shots away, and such a useful skill for a forward to have.
Here come Beeston again, along the right-hand side towards the baseline, and it has been played off the end of the field. And Surbiton will restart from the back. Always tends to be Surbiton are the last visitors to the Nottingham Hockey Centre.
Yeah,
it tends to be.
That's right. The league has been like that for a few years, really. I think they look at the format that they use, and it pans out similarly.
I know there was a couple of seasons ago when Beeston could have wrapped up top position, and Surbiton came to town that day.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
deflated a few balloons.
Yes. Although last year away from home, Beeston had a win, 5-4 win against Surbiton, so they can be beaten. They've just had a very special season this year.
Gleeson and Sharp crosses the halfway line. Sharp's ball into a few white shirts.
It's going to be a difficult pass for Joe Sharp to find Alex Bloomfield there, because it was the defenders, the Surbiton defenders, were in front of him. And again, they stepped in front nicely there to stop that connection.
And that does come off a foot, so it will be a defensive ball. Oh, this is, I've watched every second of every Beeston men's home game, and I think this is the best sustained spell in the entire season.
Yeah. Good little battle at the moment. As I say, it's a shame about that corner, but giving it away was the problem. It was probably to be expected that Luke Taylor was going to be dangerous from the flick. Again, you see how dangerous Surbiton are. They've got two players behind the Beeston defence there, and because the ball's fed in quickly without any hesitation, it leaves them in metres of space. It only needed a deflection there, and that would have been a second goal.
Indeed. Gamble and win. Here come Beeston, though. This is end-to-end. That's popped up off a stick. Lee Barron indicates long corner. We want to get underway as the unmistakable hatted Nick Park, number 10, with a rugby scrum cap. Ball out to the left-hand side of the circle, but just cannot be kept in.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that it's not being collected, because it would have been inside the D, and then you can create something from that. So those forwards have got to be alert to those passing angles, working hard away from the defenders to create space, as Surbiton have been doing.
I'll tell you who will be tired at the end of this game, the ball patrol, because they've been worked really hard already this game.
I think the difficulty in containing Surbiton is that their attacks are also varied. You've got this one with the ball being taken through the midfield. You've got direct passes to high forwards, and you've got quality build-up play. So they satisfy three different styles in their attacking moves.
Play's being brought back here.
Two high players in the D for Surbiton.
Connor Williamson, 12th appearance of the season for him for the number 27. Can't be, I was going to say surely that's not been kept in, but it wasn't. Adam Dixon with a sideline ball. Joe Sharp.
Yeah, they had the space over there, Andy. There was the wide player had the space. He just didn't trap the ball well enough. Beeston, I think, needs to look at that. That's a lucky pass there.
Heart in mouth stuff here. Will there be time for another attack here? I think there's only a couple of moments left of this quarter. And as if by magic,
that's
quarter time whistle has gone. Yes, I can't remember a quicker period of hockey.
That's right.
A quick look at the scoreboard. Luke Taylor's penalty corner in the 10th minute, the difference. That's penalty corner number 23 for the season, if my numbers are...
That's right.
Terrific effort from him, and it was a decent finish, but you feel Beeston could have defended it a bit better.
I think so, yeah. I think as ever with when short corners are given away, there's been a few stages where that could have been stopped. Beeston missed a few tackles on the way through, and then of course didn't protect their feet in the D, so a combination of three errors almost led to the corner.
A quick look forward to what is going to be happening later in the year. The Masters World Cup is coming to Nottingham Hockey Centre. Masters.2020.hockey is where you need to head. Masters2020.hockey is where you need to head. Tickets and all the information you need do come along. A quick look at some of the other matches which are going on. I can definitely see there's other goals in those games. Exeter University 0, Old Georgians 1, East Grinstead 1, Hampstead Westminster 2, and look at that score: Reading 0, Brooklands Manchester University 1. Looks like it's at this stage the worst possible beginning for Reading.
Yeah, sad times for Reading. I think tall order anyway, without going behind in the first quarter. So that's not nice reading, really. Good for Brooklands, obviously, because they're fighting for their lives down there as well. Don't want to be going through the playoffs.
Indeed. Good news for one side, not so good news for the other. We'll keep a neutral view on the action and bring you with all the scores and all the details as they come in. So Beeston will get the second quarter underway. I'm still hearing William Tell Overture giving it absolutely everything over the tannoy. It's lovely to hear. A few quizzical looks on the players' faces, but I think that's now become a feature of the match day routine here, to the delight of many and the horror of some more. So Beeston looking to get back into the game.
I don't think Beeston will be too disappointed with that first quarter. Obviously the short corner sticks out as a bit of an error, but they had just as much possession a number of times in the D as well, and they had two corners, so they need to do a bit of the same, see if they can win a corner quickly in this quarter.
Intensity still good, going through the middle, hard ball forward. Proctor to the right of the circle, plays it in. Oh, what a close thing that was.
I think that's the right thing to be doing, you know, to fire that ball into the D. It's a little bit the way that Surbiton play. They don't hesitate to put that ball in, and then you can get your forwards expecting it to happen, and it gives you more of a chance of getting on the end of things.
Indeed. It was a Proctor's ball in. Who was closest on the, who was on the floor? Was it? I suspect it was, might have been Elliot Barton, because I was looking for the captain's armband.
Oh, right.
But I think it was Elliot Barton who was closest to that. But he was very quick onto the floor.
Well, he certainly had the space. If he'd have touched that at all, it could have gone anywhere. Hopefully, it would have gone in the goal, but he didn't get onto the thing. So.
A word too for Harry Gibson, as well, in the Surbiton goal in a few moments, as the attack continues. Seems to have petered out, and that is a penalty corner for the first offence.
Yeah, I think Adam Dixon doesn't seem too happy with that, but it did look a little bit like there was a foot in there somewhere.
Indeed, the umpire was going to give the penalty corner, waited for the outcome of the play, and as the goal didn't come, we're going back. So I think that was that. You can see the umpire looking and looking and looking, and eventually raising the arms to signify that's a penalty corner. And I think that was Kyle Marshall who was the offending player.
Again, this is something that Beeston are going to have to be very careful of, because the game can get away with you if you're giving away corners to a side like Surbiton, where they've got that potency from the top of the D. So they'll be disappointed that instantly in the second quarter there's this corner against them.
Indeed, quick note on the number 19 there. That's David Goodfield. His number seems to have fallen off.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
So around the edge of the circle, goal scorer Luke Taylor, number 3. He's the obvious candidate. However, there are a couple around with him who can put the ball in the goal. It will be Taylor. Low, and that is a second.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as before.
Why would you change anything? Yeah, his power speaks for itself. I'm not sure about, I mean, that's going in very low, so it's not like it's you've got to make a dive to save it, or whether you can just get a bit lower on that. It seems to have gone through the keeper a bit on that occasion.
Indeed, low.
Through his legs, I think.
And that is a second goal for Surbiton. So it was already going to be a difficult task today for the home side. Being made doubly difficult now by having to find 2 goals just to bring back the team to level.
Well, Surbiton, they build these score lines. They've had some big score lines during the season, and when you've got the options of scoring goals in the way they have, then you can just gradually work away. Here's another opportunity.
Hojwan's out of his goal, played towards goal, and it hits the outside, and it comes off a Beeston stick.
bit of a dilemma now, because obviously 2 goals down, you want to be getting back into it, but you can't do that at the expense of leaving your defence wide open. So it becomes a responsibility of each player to keep hold of the ball for that bit longer and get the structure back into the game, settle down. If they could pick up a goal and make it 2-1, then the nature of the game changes. What they don't want to be doing is letting Surbiton run away with it.
Here they go again, ball into the circle, watched by Ollie Willars, and out of play.
It's that instant feed again, Andy, just no hesitation, beat that first man, feed that ball in, expect your forwards to know that that's what's going to happen, and they've got stuff to work with.
Indeed they do, indeed they do. So how would Beeston change something to get back into the game? What would they do differently, or do they just do the same?
I think their build-up play has not been bad. As we said, that first quarter, they were sort of matching Surbiton in possession. It's just when they get into the more dangerous areas, they've got to come out with something. Like
Let's
here.
see what that ball in early, and hovering around the edge of the circle was Lucas Ward, but the ball wasn't going to find him.
Too much of an easy feed, and now look, here's the counter-attack with lots of space.
Beeston try and bring the attack, or the point attack, to the edge of the circle, and they've done well there to mop things up.
Yeah, I was going to say it was nearly an easy turnover there because the pass was misdirected. Straight back to Surbiton. This is what Beeston do not want to happen. Again,
Player down there. Gingerly getting back to his feet is Teon Deleu.
Yeah, that trend, quick restarts into the D quickly.
Willars tips the ball onto the roof of the net.
There's no time. Beeston have got to understand they need to set very, very quickly. Surbiton's restarts are as quick as anything.
And they're trying to play through a crowd scene there, and it's not come off. However, it's been won back quickly by the visitors. Beeston do have possession back, and they go through the air, been knocked down by Luke Taylor.
Yeah, another example, trying to sort of chase that instant attack, see if you can get back into it, but it's resulted in the ball back to Surbiton. That's the way I would try not to do things. I think they've got to be confident enough to have their own build-up play and keep that possession high.
Wallace assesses his options and receives the ball back again.
Yeah, lovely passing move.
So crisp. I'm sure Wallace is going to get the ball back here again. Yes, he does, and it whips the ball across almost the full width of the field. Change the point of the attack.
Good little lesson here for anybody watching. You know, staying out of range. Each pass there has been a connection.
Hodge one low and kicks the ball, and Beeston have a defensive hit.
So we saw 9-10 passes there. Everyone reached its destination, and the result was in the D. Nearly came off with a shot on goal or a corner, and there was no risk of turnover from Surbiton. And they're very good at this kind of build-up.
Dixon goes this way and that, turns back, keeps the possession going. To try and match that, Beeston have got to extend the range of their passes as well,
Yeah,
which
they have, yes.
invites turnovers. Aerial ball down the left-hand side, that's a good one. Flicked up and not kept in play, and disappointment etched over the face of the player there.
Yeah, it's Jonas Holtmans, I think,
indeed.
and that's where you need the ball retaining. If you're going to build any kind of a pattern of play against a side like Surbiton, you need to retain it up front.
Williamson checks back. How many teams would have the confidence to play these 30, 40 metre passes?
Yeah. They're sort of playing with two at the back, really, and but then there's no risk of them turning it over because everything's done clinically.
That's a good bit of interception work and an appeal for a sideline ball that Beeston have won.
Tempting to take an aerial, but
Yes.
yeah, they've thought about it a little bit. Maybe transfer work out of there, or a bit of interplay.
Dixon fouled. So it's going to be another Beeston ball. This time I think we will see it going through the air. The wind's picked up and the clouds have appeared again back at Nottingham Hockey Centre. Apparently it's been sunny all week until the times that we've gone on air. And the gods of the weather have pointed their finger again as the wind picks up.
Very contrasting styles there. Surbiton have been feeding the ball in and out of the middle of the park for most of the game quite comfortably. Beeston tried it there, it was the right thing to do. Lucas Ward tried to turn into 2 players and was dispossessed. And here we are, Surbiton again, out of range, nice passing.
Indeed, carousel, keeping the ball moving, making your opponents work and work and work, and as you can see, not really getting anywhere near the ball.
No panic in the build-up. They can attack down whichever side. They were offset a little bit, so they're going to go down the right-hand side, and they found their way into the middle of the park. Now they're in a much more dangerous place.
There's an appeal for something. Free hit on the edge of the circle. Surbiton bringing it in towards the baseline. That comes off a defensive foot, though. Sorry, an attacking foot.
Yeah, vital little touch there, putting that ball onto Alan Forsyth's foot. He was winding up for a shot and he was in a dangerous place, so useful little tackle.
Approaching the half-hour mark, this game has rattled by at a fair pace. Chris Proctor's right in front of us here, wanting the ball, but the ball's gone into the middle.
Here's a moment. This is where they need to. This midfield play has got to be successful in its outcome. It has been.
Proctor. Now, what is he going to do? There's an option there to the left, and that could have worked out very neatly indeed. But Surbiton read the ball and won it back. And we'll be going back to that point. And it will be a decent position for something to build from.
It's a good place to restart from.
Into the circle quickly, but that's a little bit of a waste.
Well, again, it wasn't directly at Samapula, and he was sort of in front of his defender, so he could have perhaps received it if it had been fired at him, but it was a bit too quick off Chris Proctor's stick and not very easy pass to retain.
Ball goes through the air and into the circle, brought down towards the baseline. Neat ball back though, comes off. It doesn't come off for Surbiton, but play continues. Into the circle again. Ball pushed out, only as far as another Surbiton stick. Doesn't alarm anybody, but I think I just heard a rumble of fun here. I see. It might have been, possibly might have been a motorbike, but certainly gone very dark. And it's all the way through. 29 minutes completed now.
Interesting to see that aerial collected on the baseline by Surbiton. Big aerial brought under control, in contrast to the one earlier that Beeston had, which Jonas Holtmans wasn't able to control. Just a bit of difference in basics between the two sets of players.
Out to the left from the visitors, into the circle as quickly as they possibly can. Dixon has it for Beeston. Now is their chance for Beeston to get on the score sheet before the end of the half.
Now that was good space, but that's not been very well used.
Good fighting back. And instantly
again,
turned over.
This is so difficult for Beeston to handle defensively.
Turned behind off a Surbiton stick.
Problems entirely of their own making. It's just that moment of composure when you're on the ball. Recognise before you receive the ball where your next pass might be.
Here come the hosts. A decent run this, and the runs continue. Proctor
good
was
defence.
moments away from making a connection to the ball.
Yeah.
And look, in a few moments we've gone from the Beeston circle over halfway. With a good field running with the ball.
Yeah, Surbiton don't mind having to defend, and they're trusting of their back 4 or 5 players, and so if Beeston's counter-attacks aren't good enough or they don't get the shot away, they're very quickly back into possession, and that's comfortable for them.
Out to the right and trying to make the most of the space again. Flip to the edge of the circle and doesn't quite come off. 31 minutes gone, you're watching BeeTV. It is Sunday, the 8th of March 2020, the final league home game of the season for Beeston, and against the team that will finish top of the pile next week the last round of games. Well, that's just flung beyond
Another one gone away.
Elliot Barton.
It's very rare once Surbiton have the ball that they don't actually make progress to the opposition D. Their build-up play, they've set themselves up like that. Mark Pern will demand that kind of quality out of them. His own hockey career was such an excellent one, and it was all about precision and timing, and he's instilling that in his team.
Stolen back on the halfway line.
Unfortunately, I thought it was going to be the first time they'd actually dispossessed Surbiton in the middle of the park.
Dispossessed, but illegally. And I'm not sure right on 5, but never mind. Surbiton win it back again.
And Richard Lawrence was a bit surprised to get that. It took him a while to realise it was on the end of his stick.
Joe Sharp appealing for the ball right in front of the camera here. And getting that decision. Umpire with a solid burst on the whistle. I think that was a stick tackle. I was
looking at the clock. It'd be a good time to get a corner now, just to see if there's a way of narrowing the scoreline.
Dixon wins the ball back, but he's having to go the long way around here. Can he get the ball in the circle? He can, and long corner is the outcome.
Quick upgrade to a short corner would be very useful. 2 minutes out before half-time.
Quickly they go forward, the home side in the dark shirts, towards the baseline again. And another Beeston free hit. Time ticking towards that half-time mark into the circle, and that has gone the way of the away side.
Yeah, unfortunately, really, they could have done with getting something out of that. Still possible opportunity. But at least they've stemmed the flow. The short, in the short term, making sure that Surbiton haven't added to that 2-0 scoreline.
The excellent spell that we had in the first quarter for Beeston, that sort of evaporated in the second quarter.
Yeah, I think Surbiton had worked out that needed controlling a bit, and they soon settled into their usual patterns. Little connections like we're seeing now.
Which way is it going to go? I think it's going to go out to the right. Yes, it does.
Another overlapping player can't find his way, so it comes back out into the back three.
Into the air, tap down, play on, shouts the umpire. Could this be a shot on goal?
Somebody needs to get hold of that.
It is a shot towards goal. Long corner, and Hudgman involved again.
Yeah. One thing you've got to do as a defender is close down the guy who might be taking the shot, because they're good at it.
Into the circle once more, it's gone all the way through. I'm sure it will go in again, and it does. Ball knocked away for another long corner.
We've been seeing it the whole of this half, this lack of hesitation on the part of Surbiton to put that ball into the D. Keeps defenders busy all the time.
The decision-making element of the Surbiton team is probably the most impressive. Never mind the
it's quick
actual play with the ball, the decision-making.
And I think that's absolutely right, Andy. I think connected to their basics, which look very good, it allows them to build these patterns of play.
And that is the end of the half as the rain starts to appear. Bang on cue, how about that? So it is Luke Taylor's double penalty corner goals that separate the sides at half-time, one in each quarter. So Luke Taylor on 10 and Luke Taylor on 21, both very similar goals low into the goal.
Yeah, that's right. And why change it if it's going the right way? And they've had 2 corners and 2 goals, so quite prolific from that.
Indeed. Let's keep an eye out on what's going on elsewhere around the hockey world. It's a big half from Old Georgians at Exeter University. 4-0 they are leading with moments to play in the end of the first half. Goals galore also at East Grinstead, Hampstead and Westminster. East Grinstead 1, Hampstead and Westminster 3. As you've been watching, Beeston 0, Surbiton 2. It was, as we checked at the end of the first quarter, Reading 0, Brooklands Manchester University 1. And and they've just got underway. Wimbledon 0, Holcombe 0. That is the way things are looking. We'll go and have a look at the highlights of what's been a very entertaining first half, and a reminder of the score as we break off for half-time. It's Beeston 0, Surbiton 2.
Well, particularly a combination of rapid build-up play and counter-attack.
Indeed, and that attack is working neatly through the middle. Proctor, that's surely a foot there in the circle, and umpire Lee Barron is right on it, and that's the first penalty corner of the game.
Work any moves at this stage, I don't know. I suspect he'll go straight to Adam.
Everyone is set. Dixon goes with it, and it's just wide.
Over the top, I think,
It looked, it flashed wide, and I was looking on the reaction for everything else. I thought for a moment that he'd taken his time, does find a pass, and that is the right thing to do. Rather than rush it, he waited for the right opportunity to appear.
He did, yeah. He was good on the ball. Again, that's part of the instruction that has been given.
Flashing into the circle, and that is just wide of the post. The player holding his arms open.
This has been a good start. The discipline is crucial now, that they, certainly in defensive shape, that they slow Surbiton down.
First goal is important, and it is Surbiton who are currently in the circle. Umpire right on it, and I'm sure that's a foot, and yes it is.
Robbie Gleason's foot, yeah.
Indeed it is.
They're going to need to defend this to keep that confidence level high.
Indeed, Johnny Gould, number 7, and then further around Zach Wallace as well, so there's a lot of quality around the edge. And that is the first goal of the game, and no surprise to see Luke Taylor with the efforts.
Yeah, well, that's just a little bit. Two corners, so we need to do a bit of the same, see if they can win a corner quickly in this quarter.
Intensity still good, going through the middle, hard ball forward. Proctor to the right of the circle, plays it in. Oh, what a close thing that was.
I think that's the right thing. Hopefully it would have gone in the goal, but he didn't get onto the thing. So.
A word too for Harry Gibson as well in the Surbiton goal in a few moments as the attack continues. Seems to have petered out, and that is a penalty corner for the first offence.
Yeah, I think.
So around the edge of the circle, goal scorer Luke Taylor, number 3. He's the obvious candidate. However, there are a couple around with him who can put the ball in the goal. It will be Taylor. Low, and that is a second.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as before.
Why would you change anything? Yeah, is.
You're not going to see a great deal.
Welcome back to live commentary of Beeston versus Surbiton in what now appears to be sunshine at Nottingham Hockey Centre. It's Beeston versus Surbiton, 6th at the start of the day versus 1st in the start of the day, and Surbiton, after what was a difficult few moments, seemed to have worked out Beeston.
Yeah, that's right, and I think that Beeston will be certain positives in there. They've contained Surbiton's outfield play, so no field goals. The 2 goals have come from the corners, which were a little bit to be expected with Luke Taylor's prowess in that department. But I would expect Beeston to try to get back into this. They only need 1 quick goal and the whole thing could change.
Indeed. So, if you were Surbiton's coach, what would you have said to your team? More of the same, I would have thought?
I would have thought so. I would imagine they'll want to score some open play goals. They've had enough build-up and they've missed a few opportunities in the D, so they'll certainly want to see that firing, because when they get into the AHL, they're going to need those goals.
Indeed. Just waiting for the match ball. We got 17 and 9 there, and Forsyth and Arjun Drayton Charner. And we are off and rolling again. Beeston, what would their first action be? Win the ball back, I think.
Yeah, I think, and then again, this has been a bit of a feature throughout the season, really, retaining that possession higher up the pitch, and getting more outcomes. I think it's one of the bits that's missing a little bit, and you can see that in the number of goals that Beeston have scored in comparison to Surbiton. So they've gone a bit more in the final third.
Through the air it goes, and that is the first time we've had a stick on a ball for Beeston in this second half. It's only taken 33 seconds.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, if you're just joining us and are not familiar with the shirt colours, it's Beeston in the dark shirts, Surbiton in the light shirts. And attacking the car park end this half, which is right to left, is Surbiton. As you can see, they're looking to build through the middle now. And Surbiton will be defending the right-hand goal, which is the one Beeston are attacking, which is the boulevard end.
2 former Beeston players playing for Surbiton today. Tom Salisbury, who was here for 2 or 3 seasons, and James Gore played here as well. Nice to see them back at the club, although they are playing for Surbiton.
Now, interestingly, Beeston are finding the passes, but this isn't anywhere near as quick as it was at the start of the game. And that's a free hit.
Yeah, Nick Park doing well to get through the 2 or 3 tackles on him, and it's put the Beeston into the 25. Now need to get into the D.
And that pace is there this time, and it's been knocked away And that's very neat in defence, very calm and composed, and then through the air it goes. Ollie Willars taking it out of the sky neatly and avoiding the challenge from a very forward-looking Alan Forsyth. Very good stuff from Ollie Willars.
Yeah, under a bit of pressure there, Alan Forsyth looking for any opportunity whatsoever.
And this is better, and that pass through was intercepted. You could read what was meant to be happening there.
That's right. Sort of the difference between the standards a little bit at the moment. That would be an opportunity for anybody to get forward, but it was predictable. The pass that Nick Park chose was predictable.
So this is a good spell for Beeston. They've controlled things for about a minute and a half now. Can they get the ball into the circle? They're going to try and work its way through here. And they've worked a free hit in a reasonably good position. So do you gamble and push more people forward, or do you just stick with what you've got, do you think?
Well, I think there's enough forwards in the D now. They need to make sure they're moving and creating space. We don't want everybody cramping it up too much. You need to keep openings inside the D.
And that's the shot towards goal, and no. Umpire.
Now, I just think that is a little bit careless. That's fallen in lots of space too. I think, was it Jonas Holtman's on the ball?
Let's just see what happens here. And Simon Hujwan has come out a long way there and connected with a forward player who is Alan Forsyth.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be in a particularly good way. They might just be checking his foot there. He could be doubled over. He's saying that. Is he holding his stomach or checking his shirt? Oh no, he's definitely holding his stomach. So that's a
bit of a collision between the. You don't want to run into goalkeepers. They've got lots of kit on anyway, so they're a bit of an immovable object, really.
No, I think let's try and find a decent phrase there. Simon Hujwan definitely letting Alan Forsyth know that he was there.
Yes. But the point I was making there, Andy, is that was a great opportunity for Beeston to get a shot on target, and it was not very well executed because the player, who I think was Jonas Holtman, just didn't set himself right, and yet he had all the space and time to do that.
Maximum power, a little bit off on the percentage on accuracy.
Another little moment there, you know, nice transfer over to the left-hand side. It's been missed, it's gone out, turns the ball over to Surbiton. Good opportunity for them. And they've returned the compliment.
Indeed, the ball's been won back in a difficult position for Beeston. They've got a heck of their triangles together to work their way out of this, and they've done it pretty well. Lawrence plays the ball forward and receives the ball back again out to the left-hand side of the circle. There are players in the middle.
Big fan of the dump ball. I like that ball just dropped and left for the player following through. It creates all kinds of angles and openings, and that was nearly an opportunity to get into the D.
In a few moments, just to put this in your Rolodex, what is a drop ball?
A dump ball.
Oh, what is a dump ball? But we'll wait for them.
We'll cover that in a minute.
Yes.
Yeah. One of my favourite passes.
In fact, now actually seems a good time. Talk us through the.
Well, it's just the player running with the ball. He just leaves it where it is, and for the guy following behind, almost a bit sort of rugby-esque really. He just leaves it behind, carries on, takes a defender away.
Here comes Surbiton into attack again. And that's a shot, and that's fired in at pace.
Yeah.
That definitely was a shot on target, looking for the postage stamp of the goal.
Yeah. Taking it on from a narrow angle, confident enough to do that.
Won back again by the visitors, working it through the middle where the space is. Not overcomplicating things here, and into the circle they go again, and that's just wide of the post, and that's twice in 20 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. This
shots on goal. This
is the space that they create, and the point we're making right at the start of the game is the willingness and ability of the midfield players to actually pass that ball forward very, very quickly, giving the forwards plenty of space. That's my slight criticism of Beeston's. One occasion they've got that opportunity, and the shot's been rushed, and it didn't need to be.
So the Bees working it through the middle, and now out to the right-hand side. Things are sticking, and passes are being found, but occasionally it's just within a stick's length of an opponent.
Some of the passing moves from Beeston have been quite good. It's just probably the last one on each occasion is not executed well enough. And Surbiton, of course, they're not easy to get around. They set themselves to make these defensive plays, and they've done it a number of times in this game. The trouble is, once you've given the ball to Surbiton, it's they're 5 or 6 passes before you get it back.
Indeed, and that's played again quickly across the face of goal. The forward player gambled to the left, went to the right was the option, but that's another. When you're making that many opportunities, you can afford to miss one or two.
Well, I think they might be a bit disappointed, Andy, to tell you the truth, because I think they'd be expecting to score some of these opportunities they have created, and there's been quite a lot have gone across the goal mouth, and the lead forward's not got on the end of it.
There are often games where good chances don't make themselves apparent, but we've had about 10 good chances, including the chances for Beeston as well, including the goals.
Yeah.
Just looking, we're stopped here. Back again from the side, and it's going to be a Surbiton ball by the looks of it.
Yeah. Bit of confusion over there, but
all cleared up now.
So again, there's no particular rush on Surbiton's part. Their major requirement is to keep hold of the ball, so we're already 3-4 passes in.
Just lost the track of the ball, it's out to the right hand side. Cross into the circle again, there are players in front of the goal. Calm defensive work again, under an awful lot of pressure. It has been played out, and this is better, but won back almost instantly from Surbiton, and that is through everybody again.
Little time on the ball. Elliot Barton there found himself in a difficult place. He was trying to use his reverse stick to get out of difficulty across a Surbiton player's open stick, and lost the ball.
As a player, there are times when you know you played against a team that's better than you. What do you learn from that? Let's just wake off though. Beeston looking to bring it through into the circle. So yes, sorry, what do you take away from that?
I think the first thing that you see is how quick the passing can be made, and how little time you have to set yourself. And if you're going to compete against a side that are playing like that, you've got to get your own levels of tempo and performance and focus up to speed quickly. Because you just don't get any time at all. It's a ploy by Surbiton to give you little time on the ball.
Ball bouncing in front of the Surbiton defence. Strong stick on it from Beeston. Again, Surbiton.
Accuracy of passing.
Yes.
Yeah, accuracy of passing to come out through a tight area. It's not quite worked. Beeston have been able to cover that.
Here goes Dixon. Plays it along the floor. And receives it again. Now, that did bounce off Rob Farrington there. He's limping away. So I'm sure we'll have a free hit from that point.
See, I think, the positives for Beeston are that they, despite the number of attacks that Surbiton have, they haven't got that third goal yet. I hope that's not famous last words, but it gives an opportunity to perhaps get one back.
Now let's see how this counter-attack breaks out. It's already over halfway. There's only one player in the final quarter, but they're now joined by at least another 3. Surbiton have a free hit now. There's 4 players to aim up in the circle, just around the edge. Alan Forsyth is there, joined by another player. Willars, I'm sure that's on the ball. Been brought out neatly, trying to get a foot there, and that's the most theatrical tumbling over I think I've seen in a long time. Alex Blumfield, that is.
Yes, yeah.
He did well to win the ball. Proctor. He's not got a black shirt within 10 metres of him at the moment, but he does have the sideline ball. And there's an awful lot of movement in front of him, but there's no obvious route, so he's run with it a bit and played it backwards.
Way out, yeah.
Willars plays it a distance across the back. Gleeson, I think, in the silhouette.
Again, another turnover on that left side, Beeston's left side. That's just basics. Whether it's the passer or the receiver, it's not been executed well enough, and you just don't want to keep giving the ball back to Surbiton. It is interesting watching Surbiton's build-up play. They've always got another lane that they can pass the ball onto. Their forward or the midfield first, and then their forwards always leading in front of defenders, so that the man on the ball can just throw it past that first player, knowing full well it'll arrive with one of his own team. Not afraid to go through tight areas again, trusting their basics.
already
the space
into the circle, and there's a player there to receive the ball if it can be found, and it is a penalty corner. A foot found. Whilst we're setting up for the penalty corner, you were saying about getting the basics right, trusting your skills. Mark Perrin, is he the man responsible?
Oh, I would say definitely. I mean, he's obviously got good players in his team, but he was precision player himself, very, very skillful individual, and will be passing that on to his team.
Robbie Gleeson finds a foot, so we've already had 2 penalty corner goals from Luke Taylor. I wonder what we're going to get this time. Luke Taylor in the middle of your shot now.
Yeah, I think because of Surbiton's strengths, they can adapt to the type of game. If they can't get the goals from open play, they can get them from corners. And then, of course, they've got various ways of building their open play, very direct or steady build-ups, and they've got a lot in the locker, really. Makes life difficult for their opponents.
So Luke Taylor is the obvious target. He's already on 2. Could this be number 3 for number 3? It is the same player. It is low. It is hard, and that is another goal. It's a hat-trick of penalty corners for Surbiton's Luke Taylor.
Yeah, he's finding it very easy, really. He was not particularly quick with the release from the flick on that, but Beeston's number 1 runner's not really got much in the way of it. And then, of course, trying to protect that post. You've got to be quite precise.
Terrific finish, low, hard. Sometimes a penalty corner expert finds the top corner.
They do, yeah.
All 3 of these goals have been forced into the goal, low and hard.
I think the best penalty flick takers, the penalty corner takers, they can see where the gap is, so it doesn't always have to be into the top of the net. It can sometimes be just past a player who's going to find it difficult to defend.
Here come Beeston. Have they found a foot? No, they haven't. Surbiton get the ball away.
Great defending there. We talked about protecting your feet. I didn't see who that was for Surbiton, but quick onto the ball, very low. And I think the Beeston player did try to find a foot, but he was wise to that.
That is the 6th time this season that Luke Taylor's had a hat-trick.
Yeah, he's very good at it, and as I say, I think the reason why is that he's able to see quite clearly where the best place to put that flick is, and if it's going to be low. He's been successful with low flicks today, so he knows that that's going to be an opportunity for him.
I suppose that is the enigma of Surbiton. You know exactly what they're going to do. The trick is trying to stop it.
And they do it so well, yeah.
That's another foot there, and limping away is number 5, Tom Sorsby. There's an aerial ball. Will this fall kindly? And it has fallen kindly for Beeston. Proctor slides, collects the ball in midfield, tries to work in. Robbie Gleeson, long corner. There's a bit of brightness from Beeston.
Yeah, opportunity there for Robbie to either go a bit quicker directly towards the top of the D or round the back. He's found the foot. He's given Beeston a long corner. But of course, they've not found it easy to create opportunities from these sorts of positions.
Fired into the circle, just miscontrolled. Apologies offered from 22, Samapula.
Yeah.
He was in the right place and just what didn't quite come off.
Bobbly pass, and he couldn't get on the end of that.
Indeed. Did the best he could there, and that's turned in for a 4th goal.
Well, it's their first open play goal. I mean, it was interesting. Just Simon Hudran surrounded by Surbiton forwards. There was 2 of them, one either side of him. Hard to know where that ball was going to go. And Surbiton's willingness just to move that on quickly. Here, there it goes. Two Surbiton guys. Just a little tap in.
Alan Forsyth with the goal, casually wandering away,
yes.
like he does this all the time, and of course tends to do that. So it is a 4th goal. 4th goal for the visitors, with less than 20 minutes to play. This is looking like a disappointing end of the season match for Beeston.
Yeah, Alan Forsyth will be pleased to have got an open play goal. First one for Surbiton, with the others being corners. To say a little bit closer to Luke Taylor in the overall tally.
Personal battle going on.
Yeah. But Beeston, you've got to look at the opportunities Beeston have had. There have been quite a lot of them. It's just that they haven't had the precision in the D. We saw one literally a minute before that goal was scored. Could have fallen to Samapula, but he mistrapped it, whether it was a poor pass or whether it was his basics at stopping it. And of course there was no shot off. And it happens the other end. It's executed well.
That's one back in the defence for Beeston and brought out only as far as Rob Farrington into the circle again. Coming a long way out of his goal, Simon Hujwan. It seemed to be going this way and that.
Yes, it did. There was, again, plenty of options for Surbiton and didn't quite come off for them. But again, very quick to do everything and put that ball into the D. Here we go again, looking to get it straight back in.
Surrounded already in the Beeston defence and one back via the side.
6-7 players for Surbiton quickly into that press. And there they go, they've got the ball again. When you get to this sort of scoreline, and many of the Premier League sides this year have experienced this against Surbiton, it's controlling the game a little bit as best you can.
Well, as you can see, the clock in the top of the screen has come to a stop at 52.5 minutes. Beeston 0, Surbiton 4 is the score at the end of the third period. Luke Taylor with a hat-trick of penalty corners. Alan Forsyth with that goal from open play on 51, and that is the difference between the two sides with 17.5 minutes still to play. A quick look at those other games which are happening now. We get to quarter time. There we go, quick flash of an old game there for a moment. Beeston 0, Surbiton 4. Goals galore around the grounds. Exeter University 1, Old Georgians 5 at the same point in the game there. East Grinstead 1, Hampstead Westminster 6. Reading 1, Brooklands 1 with 17.5 minutes still to play there. Reading equalising in that third quarter, and I probably will keep an eye on that one at the end of the game.
For their lives, yes.
Indeed, yeah. And in the second quarter at Wimbledon-Holcombe, just the one goal there, keeping it tight there.
Well, the top four sides performing really, Andy, there, aren't they? You know, back to business as usual for them really. Surbiton, Old Georgians, Hampstead and Wimbledon all in fine fettle for the playoffs now.
So there you go, our top four will be more or less the top four. There is another game to play next weekend. Both Beeston's men and women are off to Hampstead and Westminster next weekend on 2 consecutive days. Couldn't do it back to back, but such is life. Beeston 0, Surbiton 4, BeeTV. You are watching on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Your nominations for player of the match as well. Don't forget, you can always tweet us at official BHC for your player of the match. Off and underway again. And Beeston on the attack here. There's a little bit of an overload. Can this be fashioned into a shooting opportunity? It is wide of the upright, and that's a big appeal. Yeah, I think that appeal for a deflection. Do you think?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it's first time. I mean, Harry Gibson's had a bit to do there. He's looking to be athletic. Obviously, he's not actually had anything to do, so that's the first time he's going to leap at something.
Surbiton on the attack again. Penalty corner is the outcome of that one. We're hearing from the far side that the appeal was for a push there as the shot was going in. So from our touchline reporter over there.
Well, we can see here how quick this attack is, Andy. There's, you know, we're looking at probably 3-4 passes. And there it is, straight into the heart of Beeston's defence. Little hesitation.
Look at the Alan Forsyth. He really wanted that pass there.
Yeah.
But they'll have to settle for a penalty corner. So delivering the ball.
Interesting that he's crossed. He's annoyed that he hasn't got the cross, even though they've won a short corner.
Yep. It will be an opportunity for Luke Taylor. Let's have a quick look around the edge of the circle. You can look at the options. So we've got. There he is in more or less the same patch of field as he was 3 previous times. Luke Taylor. Will it be 4 from 4 from him?
Well, the last one that he scored, the number one runner didn't get anywhere near to it, and the man on the post struggled. And he's done the same again.
Same trick. Luke Taylor with 4 from 4. A 5th goal for Surbiton.
Well, precisely what Beeston didn't want to happen. They didn't want this to become a steamroller day for Surbiton, but they're finding it. Luke Taylor's finding it very easy to put that ball in the right place.
Now, did that take a touch on the way through? Because I think it was aimed towards the right-hand side of the goal, and it tended to veer off to the left. Still, all ends up as another goal in the Luke Taylor catalogue.
Yes, yeah. It is interesting how competitive teams can be against them, but it's this clinical finishing that sets them apart this season. You know, you mentioned player of the game and things of that sort of looked at every time. You tend to go for the person who's scoring the goals, and obviously wouldn't take that away from them. But there's a lot of quality build-up play and good performances from other players in the Surbiton side that lead to those opportunities.
So who stood out for you? Who might your nomination be? Of course you can change your mind, but who at this stage is your nomination? Let's just actually break off. Chance here on goal. Hodgman's come out. It's still live in the circle. And Beeston have a defensive hit. And time is stopped as we've got an injury. That's an awful lot of limping happening. And it's Morgan Males, who's the player who is limping off towards the touchline, and I think he's going straight off from what I can see through the window. Yes, straight off. So no more Morgan Males for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, looked like his ankle. He has had an ankle injury. I don't know whether it's the same thing, but hopefully it won't be too bad for him. The difficult phase now. There's still time for Surbiton to do what they've been doing to other clubs and putting those last 2-3 goals in and making it a huge scoreline. And Beeston are keen to try to get something out of it, but they've got to be protective. They don't want it to become an utter roller coaster for Surbiton, although their goal difference has now sunk into the negative territory. Something I think they were proud of was the fact they were still a plus goal difference team within the Premier League. I think that's just dipped below now.
That's certainly true. It was +4 at the start of the day.
It is interesting. I mean, I go back to the Beeston side, thinking about 2012, 2013, when we won the league by a lot of points, and at that point we had a forward line that included Simon Edgerton, Martin Jones, Craig Boyne and Sam Ward, and the goals came. The midfield was Adam Dixon, Harry Martin, and it was just the feed like we're getting now was what we saw then, and Surbiton have replicated that very well.
Ball's still in play for Surbiton as they make their way back into the circle again. But there is a defensive hit out for Beeston here. It's going to be a difficult 12.5 minutes still to play.
Yeah, it is. Surbiton forwards will be wanting more goals as well, because that's the nature of the beast, really. So Beeston have got a lot of defending to do here.
Onto the baseline, long corner again.
You see, once you get a group of forwards and midfield players connecting in the way that Surbiton do, you can go for anything. Corners, free hits on the edge of the D, open shots.
And that's another penalty corner.
And your confidence grows and you find ways of doing it. You know how to, you work out the defender against you and you can find his foot, and this is what Surbiton have been doing.
So we've already seen 4 from Luke Taylor. At the expense of possibly repeating myself, I can't see them doing anything different. Why change a working strategy?
I think the reason that players like Luke and other sides score so many goals is they're pretty ruthless when they get the opportunity, and they just love scoring. So
indeed. Well, 4 low efforts from Luke Taylor. Simon Hujman could lie along the bottom of the goal this time, but then that leaves the opportunity of the whole top half of the goal to go at. So there's an awful lot of options to defend here.
I know it's difficult, but you'd probably want a little bit more from your number 1 runner, just spoiling that first shot on target, and the man on the post maybe to make a save.
Taylor low, and there it is again.
Sounds like Groundhog Day, isn't it? It's the number 1 runner's missing it, man on the post missing it, and it's hitting the same part of the backboard. So
Luke Taylor with 5 in the game today.
Tremendous tally for him, really, and it's just his power and accuracy. And still 11 minutes, 10 or 11 minutes to go. It's a worrying scoreline, this.
Indeed. So that negative goal difference will go to Hampstead and Westminster next weekend. So another straightforward and easy game next weekend.
Absolutely. I think what this has exposed is the issue that I know that Beeston coaches have wrestled with all season. It's retaining this possession higher up the pitch, because there's only so much defending you can do. You need your forwards to get on the ball and your midfielders to not turn it over so easily, as we've just seen there. And this is where the opportunities come for Surbiton. They're feeding off these errors. A lot of the time sides look competitive, but when it comes to the clinical defending and counter-attacking, we're just seeing a great example of it today from Surbiton.
So the space is there, and it suddenly tightens up in defence for Beeston. Can they block out Surbiton again? I'm just trying to think, is that 100% return from penalty corners? Every chance has been converted.
Yes, yeah. And Beeston had the first 2, going back to the first quarter, Andy. I think
does seem an awful long time ago.
It does seem a long time ago. See, the Surbiton press, they're relatively deep in a way, but they're just cutting off the lines of passing and stepping in when Beeston try to play through the midfield. And again, you see a ball fall into a Beeston player, but it's too easily turned over, and here we go again.
There's a decent ball on towards the penalty spot, and that's turned in for a 7th goal for Beeston. And if I'm looking at it right, I think that's David Goodfield who's turned the ball in.
Yeah, a lovely counter-attack. I mean, you can't get much quicker than that. I mean, every pass has found its target. The crossfield pass here, such accuracy between the 2 Beeston final defenders. And then rather than trying to smash it in, the pass has just been laid off for an easy tap-in. Great hockey.
And that is definitely David Goodfield's goal. Scoring for the first time since a game against Exeter University. So, Beeston now 7 goals down at home. Doesn't make for particularly good reading.
No. And really can't sort of get any kind of a foothold at all. They're not able to retain possession for long enough to create anything, and Surbiton have seen that, and they're feeding off it. So you don't like to say you want to see the end of a hockey match, but it's getting a bit sort of nasty, this.
Home side building down the left-hand side, making the ball into the circle. Player goes to ground, and that is a penalty corner for Beeston. So Muss's law comes into play.
Yeah, it's the 3rd one for Beeston.
3rd one for Beeston. Let's see if they can be fortunate from this one. 63 minutes elapsed now.
Well, I think when you're getting a walloping like this, it'd be nice to get on the scoreboard. So chance to do it now, and it certainly ticks the clock down a little bit as well.
So the player trips up in the circle. Nick Park with his back to goal. Adam Dixon looks like he means business. He's taken a few steps back here, almost like he's going to take a run up at this. Maybe an opportunity to take a little bit of frustration. Let's see what they can do. Also, let's see what Surbiton can do to defend as well.
Well, the number 1 runner will be quick out to this. You will be able to see that, I think. They'll be sharp on the line, 2 defensive players there. And then, of course, there's Harry Gibson.
Towards Dixon. Dixon low. It's been bounced and somehow kept out. It's still live and been hit out off a Beeston forward. Surbiton did excellently there to defend that.
They did, yeah.
But that said, Beeston did everything they possibly could to get that ball into the goal.
A bit like we've sort of said there, even if you get past the runners, you've still got to get it past Harry Gibson in goal.
Bouncing ball in the circle, tapped away, and it will be a restart for the home side. So I know it's been a high-scoring season across the Premier Division of men's hockey. I can't recall the last time I saw the home side concede 7.
No. It'll be very concerning for the coaches. For the Beeston coaches, I think Surbiton will be very pleased that they've gone away from just scoring from penalty corners. They've got a mixture of types of goals now.
Into the circle once more. It's been mopped up at the back. Less than 5 minutes to play now.
Lot of space here.
Indeed there is, and the ball's going into the circle again, tapped across the face of goal. Simon Hushman goes low and taps the ball out to the quarter line.
Quite a lot of disarray now. Beeston not getting the unit back in shape.
And this is where Surbiton have been scoring an awful lot of goals late on as well. But this time they survive the storm and will play out from the back.
That's probably the first time really you can see how demoralised Beeston have come by the scoreline, because the front 3 were not in any sight on the camera work there, trying to get back into defensive shape, recognising there's little they can do to make any sort of have any effect on Surbiton.
Crossfield ball is good. Good work to stop the attacker Morgan. That's not Morgan Miles, is it? That's Elliot Barton. All action, Elliot Barton. Into the circle, flips up, and that's a player gone down. Nothing doing, says the umpire. Surbiton can break again. Out towards the right-hand side of the circle. Connections made.
Good understanding of where the passes might be made by Surbiton into the D.
It's still live, and Beeston do get it away, and it's chopped along that sideline.
See, despite the scoreline, we always used to say that you learn more from these kind of defeats than sometimes you do from big wins, and Beeston's point of view, you can quite clearly see differences in their basics, their ball retention, pass accuracy. Not so much work rate. I think that the Surbiton's skills have exploited any deficiencies in the work rate, but it's just things to be working on all the time for Beeston.
Indeed, and I think there's going to be a busy summer coming.
Definitely.
As well. So how do you lift this team ahead of next week's trip to Hampstead and Westminster?
Well, I do think they'll understand that they've played against. It's quite clear it's the top side.
Just breaking off here again. We've got a foot on the edge of the circle, and we've got an injury occurred just outside. Chris Proctor was the player on his haunches there. I think that happened after the play was stopped.
Caught him in the face, I think. It's.
I think he's going to be all right. I don't think that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a blood injury. He's certainly mopping.
I think he's okay.
So Beeston piling players forward. Could this be an opportunity to get on the score sheet? It's in the circle, and Surbiton come away with it, and over the halfway line again.
2-on-1 here with the keeper.
Alan Forsyth goes a long way out and he hits the edge of the goal.
They'll be disappointed with that. It was pretty much an open goal.
He did very well. Excellent footwork, made the space, got the power.
Oh,
it was probably a ball's width away.
Yes.
And Beeston get it right in midfield. With 2 minutes left, will there be time for another attempt on goal? I think that's Proctor in the wars again there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, you did ask the point, Andy, about how they'll feature next week and how they'll feel after a result like this. But there's always a resilience in players, particularly the younger lads. They look forward to playing the next game. I think they'll understand why they've been so heavily beaten, and they'll just they'll try and build on it, and that would be what you would hope.
So the reason for the penalty corner, deliberate stick tackle.
Yeah.
So the clock is winding. Oh, we don't have a ticking clock at the moment. Time is off.
Inside those last 2 minutes now, so it's like to see Beeston get on the score sheet, really.
So we're looking for that ball, dashing over Alex Blomfield, who looks like he's going to deliver. Oh no, he's had a change of mind. Who is going to go over to deliver? It looks like it's going to be Kyle Marshall. Adam Dixon winding up again, most likely candidate. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come ultimately to Chris Proctor. We'll see. Proctor traps, Dixon goes low, and that is the goal. Adam Dixon on the score sheet for Beeston.
Well, it's nice to see him score. I mean, actually a cracking flick, because that's gone right in the top corner. Measure of Adam's frustration with the scoreline. I think he's launched that.
A little bit of frustration, I think,
Definitely,
in that one. Let's have a look at that finish again. Trapped good. And
that's very good.
Gibson was going low to his left, and the player on the line couldn't get quite near it. So at least Surbiton ending on a high. I wouldn't be surprised if Surbiton get annoyed by that and try and get another one before the end.
Yes.
Into the final minutes. Ball in the final quarter. Not really going anywhere.
Final whistle.
And the final whistle has gone. It is Beeston 1, Surbiton 7.
Well, they're not the only club to have lost by that many goals, and I think there's a distinct difference between the top 4 sides and the rest of the Premier League. And disappointing from Beeston's point of view that they've not defended 2 or 3 of the corners, particularly bearing in mind that they were similar, and you'd like to think that you might be able to stop a couple of those, but you can't fault the execution by Luke Taylor on his corner flicking.
Indeed, so just the 5 goals for number 3, Luke Taylor, all coming from penalty corners. Alan Forsyth with his customary goal in the 51st minute. David Goodfield with potentially, I think, the best goal of the lot.
Yep, great goal, yeah.
And Adam Dixon capping things off with a fine penalty corner. I think Muss's Law came into play there. With that was the 3rd one for Beeston, possibly the 4th one, but we'll let that one slide. So a bad day at the office. I feel like I said that yesterday, but Surbiton, a complete performance from them.
Yes.
I'm sure they'll be furious that they conceded right at the end as well.
Yeah, that's right, and always wanted to be perfect at everything they do. They've got some tests ahead. They're going off to the AHL in April, so they're going to have to be on their mettle there because the standard changes.
Okay, so we're all finished here. Beeston 1, Surbiton 7. What else is going on around the grounds? It has been a day of a great many goals, and look at that. With 2 minutes to play, Reading have turned it around. They're leading Brooklands Manchester University by 3 goals to 1. So that, as it stands, would put 1 point between them with 1 more round of matches to go. Reading could finish on 12 points, which puts Exeter in the risk area as well. Risk area, a term I've just come up with.
Yes.
In the dangers, I don't want to say danger zone, but you get the idea. So Reading with what it looks like to be a terrific performance. So you've seen Beeston 1, Surbiton 7, Exeter University 1, Old Georgians 5. There's still 5 minutes to play in that 1. It's all over. It's East Grinstead. East Grinstead 1, Hampstead and Westminster 6. And they've got a whole quarter and change to play at Wimbledon Holcombe. Wimbledon 1, Holcombe 0. So everyone on the score sheet today, apart from Holcombe, but there's still time to play in that one. It's been a busy day here on BeeTV. We've got a whole host of highlights to come in the beautifully packaged highlights package of the end of the season that we've got coming up.
Particularly.
And so we've got, we will play out in a few minutes' time, but first, with the highlights, but first a couple of thanks. Thanks very much to Beeston Hockey Club for providing this service to you over the course of the season. And so, courtesy of Karen Griffiths, your director, David Griffiths on the social media. Thanks to Josh Robinson across the field with the summarising and the advice. Thanks to Adam Milsom upstairs in the camera tower in all weathers. Many, many thanks to Steve Musson, co-commentator. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure, yeah, very much so. Enjoyed every minute of it.
And from me, Andy Day as well, talking you through every single home game this season. It has been a pleasure. There have been highs, there have been lows. But amongst it all, there's been content, and that's what matters. From BeeTV on a sunny Sunday afternoon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.
Particularly a combination of rapid build-up play and counter-attack.
Indeed, and that attack is working neatly through the middle. Proctor, that's surely a foot there in the circle, and umpire Lee Barron is right on it, and that's the first penalty corner of the game.
Work any moves at this stage, I don't know. I suspect he'll go straight to Adam.
Everyone is set. Dixon goes with it, and it's just wide.
Over the top, I think,
it looked, it flashed wide, and I was looking on the reaction for everything else. I thought for a moment that
it's been a good start. The discipline is crucial now, that they, certainly in defensive shape, that they slow Surbiton down.
First goal is important, and it is Surbiton who are currently in the circle. Umpire right on it, and I'm sure that's a foot, and yes it is.
Robbie Gleason's foot, yeah.
Indeed it is.
They're going to need to defend this to keep that confidence level high.
Indeed, Johnny Gould, number 7, and then further around Zach Wallace as well, so there's a lot of quality around the edge. And that is the first goal of the game, and no surprise to see Luke Taylor with the efforts.
Yeah, well, that's just a little bit. Two corners, so they need to do a bit of the same, see if they can win a corner quickly in this quarter.
Intensity still good, going through the middle, hard ball forward. Proctor to the right of the circle, plays it in. Oh, what a close thing that was.
I think that's the right thing. Hopefully it would have gone in the goal, but he didn't get onto the thing. So.
A word too for Harry Gibson as well in the Surbiton goal in a few moments as the attack continues. Seems to have petered out, and that is a penalty corner for the first offence.
Yeah, I think.
So around the edge of the circle, goal scorer Luke Taylor, number 3. He's the obvious candidate. However, there are a couple around with him who can put the ball in the goal. It will be Taylor. Low, and that is a second.
Yeah.
Exactly the same as before.
Why would you change anything? Yeah, he's not afraid to go through tight areas again, trusting their basics.
Already
the space
to the circle, and there's a player there to receive the ball if it can be found, and it is a penalty corner. A foot found. So Luke Taylor is the obvious target. He's already on 2. Could this be number 3 for number 3? It is the same player. It is low. It is hard, and that is another goal. It's a hat-trick of penalty corners for Surbiton's Luke Taylor.
Yeah, he's finding it very easy, really.
In the right place, and just what didn't quite come off.
Wobbly pass, and he couldn't get on the end of that.
Indeed. Did the best he could there, and that's turned in for a 4th goal.
Well, it's their first open play goal. Yes, I think so, yeah. It's first time, I mean, Harry Gibson's had a bit to do there. He's looking to be athletic. Obviously, he's not actually had anything to do, so that's the first time he's going to leap at something.
Surbiton on the attack again. Penalty corner is the outcome of that one. We're hearing from the
forwards and midfield players connecting in the way that Surbiton do. You can go for anything. Corners, free hits on the edge of the D, open shots.
And that's another penalty corner.
and your confidence grows, and you find ways of doing it. You know how to you work out the defender against you. And you can, I know it's difficult, but you'd probably want a little bit more from your number 1 runner, just spoiling that first shot on target, and the man on the post maybe to make a save.
Taylor low, and there it is again.
Sounds like Groundhog Day, isn't it? It's the number 1 runner's missing it. Man on the post. See the ball fall into a Beeston player, but it's too easily turned over, and here we go again.
There's a decent ball on towards the penalty spot, and that's turned
Great
in
goal.
for a 7th goal for Beeston. And if I'm looking at it right, I think that's David Good on goal. I think that's Proctor in the wars again there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you did ask the point, Andy, about how they'll feature next week and how they'll feel after a result like this, but there's always a resilience in players, particularly the
Most likely candidate, however, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come ultimately to Chris Proctor. We'll see. Proctor traps, Dixon goes low, and that is the
Yes.
goal. Adam Dixon on the score sheet for Beeston.
Well, it's nice to see him score. I mean, actually a cracking flick, because that's